Lickety Lick Mickey, nice to see ya.
And you, boss.
Oh.
So, anyone for dodgems?
Oh, dear. Let's get this over with.
I'm not looking for escapism, I just want to escape.
Welcome back to my disembodied voice. In this part of our video about the Daleks, we're going to look at how the Daleks went from being revived as a genuine credible threat with a fantastic emotive tie-in with the Doctor and a wonderfully dark historical rewrite of their history, to the reason why people's eyes now roll when we hear they're going to be used again. Now then, Internet, let me be clear that I'm in no way attacking the overall quality of the show or performances of the Doctors. I love Series 2 of New Who, and I also loved Matt Smith's first season. I thought it was fantastic. My first Doctor was Tom Baker. I was a young boy and his episodes scared me to death. Then Peter Davison came along and he was my favourite Doctor until David Tennant, as he was just the best. So I'm not going to criticise anybody's performance in this because all Doctors are brilliant, they all bring something new, and I do love them all. Apart from Colin Baker, maybe. This critique is purely about the Daleks, how they were handled and how they began an immediate descent to silliness after such a great return. Here we will be majoritively speaking about Russel T Davies' Series 2, 3 and 4 and also some of Moffat's writing, notably Matt Smith's first season. As stated in my last video, we will be using the same 6 rules, our critique list of how to make a great antagonist, and seeing how writing against these caused the rot to set in. So, for reference, our 6 rules of a great antagonist are: number 1, are they interesting? Number 2, do they tie in thematically with your protagonist? Number 3, when they show up on screen, do they completely derail your hero's plans? Number 4, how often do they succeed at accomplishing their goals? Number 5, are they more powerful than the protagonist? And number 6, does their ideology conflict with that of the protagonist? Okay, so the Daleks returned after the Doctor had thought he'd killed them all in the Time War, and then Rose disintegrated the Dalek Emperor and his army at the end of the last series. I didn't really comment on the Dalek Emperor in the last episode, so, apart from a somewhat bizarre design of his surround casing, I actually loved it. Seeing the blobby green Dalek in a jar, its eye pulsating and bubbly brain moving, and as ever, hats off to Nick Briggs and his brilliant voice. So, after 12 episodes of werewolves, clockwork aliens and Cybermen, a bizarre sphere arrives on Earth and we are told it's an impossible and unbuildable ship. A void ship. The technology beyond technology. At the end of episode 12's Army of Ghosts, this sphere opens up and out fly 4 Daleks. These are later revealed to be the Cult of Skaro. Whilst their arrival is fantastic, 4 Daleks appearing and shouting "Exterminate" to a terrified Rose and Mickey, the second episode, Doomsday, doesn't do them any favours. So, rule number 1. Are they interesting? Well, yes, they are the Daleks and that doesn't change. Also, knowing they are appearing alongside the Cybermen is the most thrilling feeling a fanboy can have. Except, as Russel T Davies stated in Doctor Who Confidential, he always wrote with the thinking that the Daleks have to be wiped out to their last atom, only to reappear in a later series because, as we know, they always come back. The problem with this is that each time the Doctor wipes them out, the less menacing they become. In Series 1, the Daleks are rebuilding after decimation and the Doctor is alone, so they share the connection of being survivors. Once they are wiped out again in the series finale, their threat becomes minimised. Now, the Cult of Skaro are interesting, and the Genesis arc is intriguing, but once the Genesis arc is opened and the millions of Daleks fly out, they barely have time to invade Earth before being wiped out again. How can the villain remain interesting if each time it's decimated with ease? In the lowest rated TV episode for Series 3, Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks, the Cult of Skaro survived the slaughter at the end of Series 2 and decided to fuse with humans, which creates Dalek Sec with penises on his head. Then they are resoundingly beaten again until one escapes, and we know we'll see them again in Series 4. And in Series 4 they reappear again, this time helped by their creator Davros, played brilliantly by Julian Bleach, but already the rot is setting in as we already have seen 2 Dalek armies wiped out, so, despite them having a Dalek Death Star, we know what's coming. Villains need to win sometimes, they need to break our heroes, and repetition of storyline and defeats lessen the impact and make them less compelling. I've never understood why they have to be wiped out each time. It makes the Doctor omnipotent, and thus we know how the story will play out. Kudos to Moffatt for making the Ironside Daleks and actually having them win by making the Doctor choose between saving the Earth and killing them. The episode Victory of the Daleks wasn't great, but at least it bucked Russel T Davies' trend of wiping them out and making the Doctor so invincible that their appearance became formulaic. The Daleks will always be in Doctor Who. It's like lightsabers in Star Wars. Just seeing an image of one means you can identify it and the sci-fi show it came from. However, in Series 2, the Time War has a lessening importance. Apart from the Cult of Skaro, the Daleks are all dead, and when the Doctor walks in and starts fist-bumping Mickey, despite being faced with the things which scare him the most, they are now just an evil alien which needs to be stopped. There's nothing personal, there's nothing reverent about them, there's nothing overpowering. Had one of the Cult of Skaro met the Doctor previously, or had he seen one of them kill someone he loved, then there would have been more resonance. The Doctor, remember, is a happy-go-lucky character who is hiding a black hole of darkness inside. And he is the last Time Lord, so if the Daleks kill him, nothing will ever stop them. So we have two aliens, Time Lord and Dalek, both with conflicting ideologies and a shared history of hatred and trauma. Yet in Doomsday, the Doctor just strolls up to them and starts joking. This happened in Evolution of the Daleks as he faces the Cult of Skaro again, only to talk about radios. The Doctor is the defender of Earth, the Daleks are evil, and they also killed millions of his people. The Doctor in turn killed all of them and his own people. So bring some more Time War information over. Okay, so we get to hear that the Doctor fought at the fall of Arcadia on the front line, a lovely change of tone and stunning reveal in the episode, but their connection is then lost for the sake of Tennant just bobbing about. Number 3, when they show up on screen, do they derail your hero's plans? Okay, now once you've faced off against an enemy for the first time, then each subsequent time will have a lessened impact. Because when your protagonist faces his antagonist for a second time, he's older, wiser, and a little bit more adjusted. It's why Jedi Luke Skywalker managed to hold his own against Vader in the final fight of Return the Jedi, after getting his ass handed to him in The Empire Strikes Back. It is good writing to show changes, acceptance, control, and personal growth through meeting villains, but after Series 1 and the trauma the Ninth Doctor goes through, he seems completely in control here. So much so that when rescuing Rose, he walks in front of 4 Daleks and fist bumps Mickey. I think this is the point in the Series 2 where the Daleks fall mightily. After all the hard work of Series 1, the Doctor terrified and keeping a distance from the Daleks' gun for fear of what it can do, here he just walks up and just starts chatting. Okay, they need him to open the Ark, but that's only by touch. They could exterminate him 20 times over, drag his corpse to the Ark and mash his head against it with their toilet plunger arms, but instead the Daleks just get cross and demand social interaction will cease, whilst they stand there on the precipice of universal domination and the Doctor is busy fist-bumping. Same again in Evolution of the Daleks, except penis-headed Dalek sex spares in this time. But the Doctor now just keeps walking in front of his enemy at close range and nothing changes. The Daleks all just stand there like third wheels at a dinner party. Also, at the end of Series 2, when Pete Tyler arrives from Parallel Earth, it's the Daleks which galvanise the Doctor to fight back. They no longer derail his plans, they spark him into life, and he just wipes them out again. In the Series 4 episodes, The Stolen Earth and Journey's End, the Doctor's fear returns a little. We see a brilliant face-off between Davros and the Doctor through a screen, with even Donna trying to calm the Doctor down by telling him that they're safe, they're in the TARDIS. And even the Doctor admits that this is a fully fledged Dalek Empire and way beyond him. But Russel T Davies' fetish for wiping them out ruins that hard work, and after his face-off with Davros, which isn't nearly long enough and ends with a silly bye, we return to form. Doctor in front of Daleks and then wiping them out. If you aren't going to shoot your enemy and he destroys your species each time, it's a stroll for your hero and not a trial by fire. It also makes the villains slightly stupid. Oh, and yes, he does get shot by a Dalek in the Stolen Earth and partly regenerates, but this is done as spectacle and actually spawns a human Doctor from his regeneration energy. Far from almost killing him, it accidentally clones him. Moffatt had this issue too in the Pandorica Opens. To have every enemy the Doctor has ever faced and then just locking him in a box is silly. There are 5 million ships flying above Stonehenge. Just shoot him repeatedly. Villains are lessened each time they monologue or have such a big arsenal that one man and a sonic screwdriver can stop them. I know the idea is the Doctor is smart and uses brain and cunning to get out of things, but all this just makes it silly. Number 4. How often do they succeed in accomplishing their goals? The Daleks are wiped out every time. They don't succeed. Okay, they escape bruised and battled in Victory of the Daleks, and the Doctor loses Rose as a result of sending them back into the void at the end of Series 2. But when a full-scale Dalek invasion of Earth with millions of Daleks lasts for 7 minutes before they are comically sucked into the void, it's pathetic. In The Stolen Earth, they conquer Earth and even move it across the galaxy. The Stolen Earth is a brilliant episode tonally which doesn't miss a beat in pace. But rather than have the follow-up episode, an Age of Ultron style Age of the Daleks, and I mean a time-travelling epic Age of Ultron in the comics, not the silly Joss Whedon Avengers film, Journey's End ends up keeping every companion alive, and all that happens is the Doctor has to wipe Donna's memory and then travel alone again. Even the Dalek Death Star is destroyed with a flick of a switch. You could have had a 4-part Dalek story at the end of the series where the Daleks rule across humanity and the Doctor manages to pull Earth free and trap the Daleks time-locked in the Medusa Cascade. But instead, each Dalek invasion of Earth lasts an episode. It's more of an inconvenience, not the action of the most dangerous creature in the universe. I mean, blimey, it should just be called Inconvenience of the Daleks. Number 5. Are they more powerful than your protagonist? No. The Doctor now walks up to them instead of hiding behind force fields or being in different rooms and using the safety of a Zoom call. The Doctor fist bumps Mickey while facing the most deadliest creature in the universe. The Doctor wipes them out each time. Now, just for reference, in the later series when Peter Capaldi did the Anyone for Dodgems sketch, they do shoot him repeatedly and he is behind a force field. But the fact he wheels in with that stupid Anyone for Dodgems drinking a cup of tea, again, just makes a mockery. To be fair, in his earlier seasons with Matt Smith, Moffatt worked hard to try and change this Russel T Davies style. I love the Asylum of the Daleks angle where they need the Doctor to save them and he ends up on a planet of walking corpses and broken Daleks as it scares him to death. And I like how they win by manipulating the Doctor's humanity in Victory of the Daleks, although the Teletubby Daleks are the most ridiculous thing ever conceived. And even Into the Dalek offered a new angle which wasn't just wiping out a Dalek army. Yes, the PTSD of the Time War eases for the Doctor, but the Daleks only have hate as an emotion, so show it. Show them at their most evil. The second you put your Doctor in front of them fist bumping, all the impact is lost. That fear Eccleston had in Dalek means nothing. If one man can beat an army of Daleks every time within the space of a few minutes, it makes the protagonist stronger than the antagonist and the tension is all over. And let's not even get into when we see Davros taken out of his chair. I mean, Davros was terrifying in the late 70s, yet here we see him wriggling like a broken toy whilst the Doctor whizzes around making jokes. I hate to say this, but the last Christmas Dalek episode with Prick Chibnall's writing was a half-decent surprise. Just a couple of Daleks and the Doctor being exterminated over and over again in a time loop. It wasn't a great piece of TV, but again, at least it tried something new. Number 6. Does their ideology conflict with that of the protagonist? Yes. The Daleks want to kill the Doctor and the Doctor wants to save people. So in that case, in Journey's End, time-lock the Daleks. I understand that sometimes the Doctor has no choice, but other times can't he just save someone from the Daleks? Does he have to wipe them out? Maybe you could have a story set on a refugee ship and they're being chased by Daleks. This time the Doctor has to get them out. He knows he can't stop them. This time the Doctor has to put people first, and you can see that grim look on his face where he knows he's leaving Daleks alive, but he has to run. The problem is, the more the Doctor wipes out Daleks by the fleet, by the Death Star, it cheapens the guilt of the genocide he committed in the Time War. Anyway, that's it for this week and this 2-part series. Every show has its nadiyas for character, and monsters always lose the scare factor eventually. The Velociraptors went from vicious predators to...
Alan!
So going from this...
Why don't you finish the job and make the Daleks extinct? Rid the universe of your filth! Why don't you just die? You would make a good Dalek.
To this...
Mickey, nice to see ya.
And you, boss. Was always going to happen the more times the Daleks were used. Ideally, the Daleks should be sparsely used, and when they are, change the story, change the dynamic, and keep the Doctor at his most vulnerable so we can root for, suffer with, and appreciate our protagonists. Great protagonists go through mistakes, achieving things at a cost and learning via developing, and villains are part of that. They create that. They are the dynamic in that. But the more you just repeat, Dalek Army, Doctor kills Dalek Army, we will end up going back to the mockery that they endured in the 80s. Anyway, that's it for today, so until next time, I'll catch you later.